Everybody, how's it going? In this video, we're going to be talking about permissions, how to list them, set them, change them. And the first thing we're going to talk about is the ls command, because that's how we're going to see them with the -l option. And as you can see here, I created a file called permfile.txt, and these are our default permissions. And here we go. The first section is going to represent either a file or a directory, or up here in our symbolic link, an L. And here we have our first set of three, or our first octet, or however you want to say it. And we're going to say read and write, and then no permission for executable there for the user section. And this is going to be the group section. And then this is going to be the what they call other or public. Some people say rest of the world. And then the other ones we want to focus on are going to be here, the links that we talked about last time, the ownership of the file by in regards to user ownership, and then this is going to be group ownership there. And then like the date and time, and then we're going to also talk about the name of the file. Another one we can use here is stat like this. And the good thing about stat is that it shows it to you in octo and symbolic, right? And like I said, the only options we really have are, at the moment, are going to be read, write, and execute. And there are other more advanced permissions that we'll talk about later on. So we can clear this. So let's talk about changing them, right? So we can do change mod as the command. Let's look at the man page. So change my file mode bit. People also call them permission bits as another name. And then here we can see the letter representations here, user, group, others. And then there is a option as well, and that's for all of them. So that represents U, G, and O. And then another thing that we want to focus on is going to be the verbose option for change mod, because that's just going to help us not have to use the ls command or the stat command when we're working on files. And on files and changing their permissions. Okay, so first thing, let's do change mod, and then let's look at the current permissions for perm. And here we can see that we have the read and write for user, the read for group, and the read for execute, or the read for others. Sorry. And we want to let's just say we just want to add write permissions to group, and we want to add them to the others. So what we can do is change mod like this, and then we can just do G and O, and then we want to add the write permissions like that. So we do perm file like this. Oh, and let's not forget the verbose option. We can put it here. And you can see here how we changed it. Okay, so it goes from 644 to 0666, and then here it is in symbolic form as well. Okay, so let's say we wanted to leave, let's say we wanted to add, matter of fact, let's say we wanted to remove it now. All we have to do is put a minus there, or you can do it this way as well with a comma, right? If you want to just be like organized, or just keep it a little bit more simpler for yourself, you can do minus W like this with a comma, okay? Like that. And then you can see here it reverted back to its original, okay? So that's adding. Another thing I want to point out too, so let's say if we put equal signs there, for the equal sign, I like to say that it sets the permissions absolute to whatever you put there. So in this case, we don't put write and we don't put execute, so it won't put that. It'll actually remove it if it's there, and only make it what you want it to be with the equal sign. So we can do that. And as you can see here, it took out those writes and only put W. So if we go back here and put R and then put W like that, we can see that it put it back there, okay? And then, so we can clear this out. So that's the current permissions, right, of that file there. Now, the other way we can change it is the octal way. The way we just talked about was the symbolic way. Now we can do the octal way. And some people prefer it as well. So it just depends. So with the octaway, what we want to remember here is that read is 4. Like this, write is going to be 2, and then execute is going to be 1, like this. Okay. So if I wanted to give the user group all the permissions, it would just be add them all up. That's going to be 7. If I wanted to give the group permission, all these permissions, it would be 7. If I wanted to give the others, it would be 7, like that. Okay. And if I wanted to just give them read and write, it would be 6, like that. If I wanted to give groups just the read and write, it would be that. And then again, with the others, it'll be that. What if I just wanted to give the read permissions to others? We'll just do like that. Okay. Let's clear that. We can do Control U, and then so again, change mod verbose, and then we can do, let's just do 660 and remove all permissions from the perm file. So we can do that. Let's just look at it. This is something you can always put a hashtag in front too if you're just working on a command, and then you got to go back, something like that. You want to add it to the history. So that's our current permissions, right? And then so let's run that command now. And we can just do like this. And you can see here it went from RW to RW there. Okay. And it removed all the permissions from there because we chose 0 permissions there. Okay. And like I said, the change mod is a little bit simpler. Just have to get used to those values, right? 4, 2, 1 from left to right, read, write, execute. Okay. All right. So the next thing we're going to talk about here, and I'm just referencing my webpage, is the default permissions. So with the default permissions, that's going to be Umask, right? Like this. And then we can also represent it symbolically like this. For files, the default permission is going to be this, 666 for files, right? And then for directories, it's going to be 777. So it takes this number here, the last 3, the 0 doesn't mean too much and doesn't mean anything for us in this context. And then it's going to take 0 from the 6, 2 from the 6, so that's 4, and then 2 from that 6. So this again represents user group. So this represents user group and others. Okay, same thing for directories. It's going to be that same Umask. So it's going to be 7, and then take away 2, 5, take away 2, 5, like that. Okay. And then so what we can do now, right, is I can show you the files that we have now, right, and then we're going to create a new file. So touch perm file 2.txt, like that. Let's do the M there. Boom. And then we can ls again. And you can see our default permissions here, how that got created. Okay. And what we can do now is we can change our default permission. So let's say, for example, we wanted to make it so that there are no permissions given to the group or others, okay, when we create a new file. Let's clear this. We can do umask like this, right? So let's say, for example, so 666 is for files, right? So that's for files. 666 is for files. If we wanted to give no permissions at all, we would just have to change it to this one, like this, 0, right? And then we want to do 6, and then 6, like that. Okay, so now let's do touch new file, like that, .txt. Okay, and then do lsl, like that. You can see new file, and then you can see our permissions there. Okay. And then so again, we can check it just by typing that. And then we can also get it in the other mode like that, okay, using that capital. So now something else that we want to do, for example, is set it back, right? We want to put it back to the original, and we can do it like that, okay?